Shofar given Halacha Dalet. Shiur trua gestate kiyas. The length of a trua has to be like 2 kiyas. Let's see what the Peirush says. The amount of the trua, the time that it takes to blow it, should be like 2 kiyas, which is, we're talking about which tkiya. We said tkiya is either groaning or a short blast. It means that we have 3 groaning sounds, and the way we measure there are 9 short blasts, tiny blasts, 3 short blasts of 3, the length of 3 notes, and the trua has to be at least 6 notes. Ivan says, Omar Avram, because of Shibush Hamatiku. This is all a mistake of the one who wrote this from the Gemara. In other words, the Rambam said he was basically copying or consolidating all the laws of the Gemara. So that the shiur of Tkiya is supposed to be 3 truas.
Yeah, I suppose,
3 truas, which is supposed to be shiur trua k'shloisha shvorim. Therefore, and the shiur of a trua has to be as long as 3 medium blasts, so it comes out to be 9 blasts. There's no disagreement among the Tanoim. It'll be in a trua mahi. Only as to regard with what is a trua, a groaning or a wailing sound. And what is the measure? Because one says that a trua is a very short blast, which are 3, and therefore would be 3 notes. 3 notes that are very, very short. 2, 2, 2. Shiur cotton, that's a small shiur, and that's the wailing sound. And trimut is the smallest sound that there is in wailing, which we call a trua as well. And shiur trua to the other Tana is 3 medium sounds, which are the groaning. 2, 2, 2. One Tana echad oma. One says ki trua yishloisha shvorim v'kshiur gadol. The other one says the trua is 3 groanings, and that's a large measure because they are longer. That somebody who groans, it gives a longer sound than somebody who bewails when the sound is coming out. The question is, and the disagreement is only regarding what is a trua. But the long blowing echad hu l'shneim. Everyone agrees ketest trumaitis, which is 9 brief sounds, ta 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 ta, like a gimel shvorim or tu'u tu'u tu'u. Hakol shiur echad, but they're both the same measure when you measure the final result. Now the small sounds are 9 short ones of wailing, which is also true, and the long ones, which we call shvorim, is 3 shvorim, which is also 9, the length of 9 notes. But according to everyone, at key is 9 notes. We sho'im shvorim hu sho'im shiur tkiya b'ketrua. And the one who says shvorim says that the shiur of tkiya is 9 kodesh. We sho'im trumaitis. The one who says it's that it is trumaitis hu sho'im shiur tkiya ki gimel truas. He's referring to 3 times the truas. Therefore, according to them, both of them, it is 9 notes. According to the Rae Gann, since there's no disagreement, it always remains to be 9 notes. In the Mishnah says the measure of its key is like 3 truas. The shiur of a trua is like 3 groaning sounds. You more questions on Brisa. It says the shiur of its key is like a trua. I have answers. The Mishnah, they counted the tkiyas of all 3 sets. In the Brisa, they're only measuring 1 set, and there's no machlokes. The other Gemara also questions that the Mishnah says that the shiur of a trua is like 3 groans, that these are short sounds, and the Brisa says it's like shvorim, which seems to be longer. he answers Abaya that the disagreement between the Mishnah and the Brisa is in the explanation of the Pasuk. Yom Teruah Yelochem should be a day of blowing. That means, does it mean wailing or does it mean groaning sounds? According to the Magen Mishnah, the Rae is of the opinion that after Abaya answers that there's a disagreement what is a trua, three middle sounds or three short sounds or three groaning sounds, there's no need to any other reason to the first answer. Well, everyone agrees that the shiur of Tkiya is like three groaning sounds. The Mishnah says that trua is wailing sounds. Therefore, you need to have three truas. There are 9 yivois, which are 9 tiny sounds. But the Tana of the Bryce is of the opinion that trua is 3 groaning sounds, and every groaning sound is 3 notes. Therefore, that 3 times 3 is also 9. Therefore, he says that Tkiya is like trua achas, meaning that it's equivalent, not like the measure of a trua, but rather that they're equivalent. They're only the question of how you, what is a trua. So their only disagreement is not about the sound of the tkiya, which has 9 notes. Like the Machlokes says whether the trua is 3 short, very, very short notes, or it's 3 groaning notes, which is 9 notes. According to the conclusion of the Gemara, according to the Mishnah, the shiur of a trua is like 3 very short blasts. Therefore, the tkiya has to be 9 mitten, which is short blasts, which are 3 truas. The Brisa says the shiur of tkiya is like a trua. It disagrees only what is called a trua. Abai explains, according to the Brisa, a tkiya is the length of 3 groaning blasts. And since every groan is 3 short blasts, tiny blasts, so 3 groaning blasts is 3 times 3, which is 9. Therefore, it says that the shiur of tkiya is like 1 trua, because the amount of time for a trua you need 3 groaning sounds, and that's 9 blasts. And the Rambam and the Rashba agree to the logic of the Rambam. However, there are those who are machmir, who are stringent to lengthen the tkiya, that when you have shvarim trua, which means we use both the wailing, the groaning, and the wailing, meaning that you have to have not 9 but 18 short blasts, which is 18 trumayim, because the tkiya is as long as the trua. So when you have a longer trua, you have to have a longer tkiya. Magen Mishnah says that's not halacha, but all the tkiyas are the same. They're all 9, even the one of Tashrat. But the Rambam is of the opinion that the shiur trua is like 2 tkiyas. The shiur shloisha shvarim kitrua, and the measure of 3 groaning sounds like a trua. The Magen Mishnah explains, since in the first answer of the Gemara it writes that the Tana of the Mishnah counts the tkiyas of each order, and each of them there are 6 tkiyas. You have tkiya and then a tkiya at the end, tkiya and a tkiya at the end, tkiya and a tkiya at the end. Therefore, the shiur of these 6 is like the length of 3 truas of the middle points. Therefore, the shiur of trua, each trua if the short blasts take up as much time as the long blasts, then 2 tkiyas take up the time of 1 trua. But the Tana of the Brisa does not consider that they have to be the same as the key has to be like the trua twice, but only 1 time. That means that the 2 tkiyas, even according to the Brisa, the shiur of trua is kishtei tkiyas. Even though we blow the 2 tkiyas, we blow 2, he's only reckoning 1. And therefore, he said the shiur of the trua is like each of the 2 tkiyas. we should point out that even according to the Rambam, the Mishnah and the Brisa disagree as to what is the composition of a trua. The Mishnah says it is a wailing sound, 3 short, tiny blasts, which are called Yerushalmi Trimuto. And the Brisa says that it is a groan, which is called a shvorim. It's longer. The Rambam doesn't mention what is the length of a trua, because he says we don't. When he explained whether we don't know whether it's wailing or groaning, so he says, however, he does write that the measure of a shvorim is the length. In other words, the shvorim have to be as long as the trua has to be. So you have to hold the short blast as long as the medium-sized blast. And so we find the measure of the trua and the shvorim are one measure in length of time. The shvorim are 3 longer blasts, groaning blasts, which come out to the equivalent of 9 tiny blasts. And the Baal Torah writes the same as the Lechem Mishnah says in the name of the Torah. The Rambam doesn't mention what is the measure of the trua which we use, but he doesn't know what's its measurement. While he knows the shiur of the shvorim and the trua are equivalent, that the length of the tiny blast and the shvorim both take up the same measure of time, since there's 3 tiny blasts and the 3 tiny blasts times 3 is the same as 9 blasts. But according to the Rae, the shiur of the trua is 3 to make 3 of the shiur of the Rambam, and the Bali Ito says 9 to make. According to the Rambam, the trua is like 2 tkiyas. Of the shiur trua is 9 to make, because the shiur of 3 shvorim is like a trua, and every shever is 3 notes, and 3 times 3 is again 9. Bala Ito says that the 3 groanings are 3 short blasts with a break. In other words, you blow it 2, 2, 2. There's a break between them, and so too the 3 wailing sounds would be 2, 2, 2. But there's no break between them. And the Mishnah and the Brisa do not disagree. Only this one says it's done with a groaning sound. This one says with a wailing sound, but the voice that comes out is the same. So he writes that that's not clear in the Rambam, who writes that the shiur of 3 shvorim is like a trua, which would seem to be that the trua is also 9 notes, not 3. The Bach clarifies that even though it would seem in the Torah that the Bala Idos of the opinion that shvorim are not any longer than the wailing sounds, and they too are only 3 short sounds, we can say that even according to the Bala Ito and Machabrim, there are a measure of time of 3 tiny sounds in the groan of the shever. That's the minimum. The shvorim and trua, and when you have shvorim trua, so you have 9 and 9, 3 groan, and therefore you'd have 18 powers used to blow, and that would be 18 notes, and therefore the key would have to be longer perhaps. Bach writes, since the Rambam writes specifically that the length of a trua is like 2 tkiyas, and shiur shloisha shvorim kitrua, and the measure of 3 shvorim is like a trua. So once he says that the measure of the trua is the length of 2 tkiyas, and we know that a tkiya is like 3 groans, therefore we have to say that a trua is 9 notes or strengths. So we'll say a trua is 3 without any break. The tkiya is only 1.5, like a half of a trua, and that can't be, because it says Vayikra Vavarta Shofar. It has to be caused to pass through the blowing of a shofar. Sheyat Kiyo, which is the straight blast as we learned at the beginning of the Hilchos Shofar. Therefore, it means like a long continuous blast. And for a 1.5, it can't be that the Torah calls Havara, but according to the Rambam, the Trua is 9 strengths, and the Shvarim is 9 strengths, but the Shvarim are 3 strengths long, and every Sheva has 3 strengths in it. Therefore, the Tekiah is, if you take the break in between, you have note, 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 break, note, 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 break, note, 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 break, and you come out with 4.5, and so therefore together it's 9 plus 3, which would be approximately the length of another half of a trua. That's what Itur is of the opinion. In actuality, the disagreement of the Rambam and the Ravid is what is the length of the blowing of the long blast. According to the Rambam, it's like the shiur of a trua has to be like 2 tkiyas, and trua is 9 notes. Therefore, every kiyah is only half of that, 4.5. Once we've established that a trua is 9 notes, so then a tkiyah is 4.5 notes. According to the Ravid, it has to be 9 notes because they're equivalent, both of them. However, if he's in every tekiah, if he blows it longer than 9, there's no problem, because there's no amount that nullifies the tekiah. There's only a minimum amount of 9 sounds, according to the Ravid. The less than that, it's not a tekiah. And also by a trua, you can have as many short sounds as you want, tiny sounds. And also the Gimel Shvorim, if he makes 4 or 5, there's no great concern about that. But usually the 3 of the true Shvorim are 3, because they're easy to count, you can catch yourself. Whereas with the 9, there's a problem, because when you start going ta 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 ta, you have to have a certain singing note to be able to calculate when you've reached 9. Also, the Maggid Mishnah says in Halacha Gimel that you don't have to be concerned if he does more than 3 shvarim, and that's the shitas of Rashi. The Machaber continues. There are those who say that the measure of a Yevova is 3 short blasts. This is Tosfos, the Rosh, and also Balayitu and the Rambam, who are brought in the Bach. The measure of a Trua is like 3 groaning sounds, which are 9 notes, and therefore every groaning sound is 3, and a shiur of a tekiah is also 9, like a trua, and therefore one need not be concerned if he did the length of the shvarim, because if he made the shvarim longer, it's not a tekiah, because it has to be 9. So even though it's more than 3 notes, 2. Even this, you have to extend the tekiah of the section that's called Tashrat, where you have the wailing and the groaning sounds together. It should be 18 short sounds, because the tekiah always has to be at least equivalent to the trua. And we blow from trua together, there are 18 notes. The Migdal Oyes wants to shield the Rambam, and he explains that the Ravid is of the opinion, like Tosfos, that every short sound is 3 notes. The Mishnah says a shiur of a tekiah is like 3 truas. That means 3 medium sounds, and a tekiah is 9 notes, and every shvarim is 3 notes. Therefore, the tekiah and the trua is 9 notes for each one. That would seems what most agree. Miglois writes that Rashi says 3 yevoves are 3 notes, and that's what the Agos Maimon says. The reason between Rashi and the Rivom, which is Tosfos' concept, that the source of both of them are from the Yerushalmi Rosh Hashanah Perek Daled Halacha Yud, that every strength is a tut. And the Yevova is the same thing, and therefore a trua is 3 Yevovis. Therefore, a tkiya is 9 tuts. And according to Rashi, according to the conclusion of the Gemara, the Mishnah and the Brisa disagree only in the measure of the trua and not the measure of the tkiya. Therefore, Rashi and the Rivom disagree in the clarification of the Yerushalmi, which is the trua. Rab Chananya, Rabbi Muna, Echloi Mekein Trumuto. One says it's like a very short blast. It's 3 blasts. Rashi has Dikikin. Rashi has a text without the resh, Dikikin, with a dalet. The Rivam has the text Rikikin with a resh. The Bach explains the words of the Migdal Oiz. The disagreement is depending upon how the text, which we just mentioned, whether it's Dikikin or Rikikin. Rashi has the text Dikikim with the dalet. 3 short sounds, and this Tana disagrees on what it says, like a trimuta, which is the smaller sound, which is longer. A noise that makes it's a larger noise, and therefore the 3 notes have to be clear, each one independent. Halacha is that the shiur trua is 3 short notes. Valito also codifies halacha like the first Tana, but he learns rikikin with a resh, which means they're wide sounds, and they are the 3 groaning sounds. That is at the shvurim, there's a break between the sounds. The yelolo and the waiting sound has no breaks between it. There's one measure for both of them. This Tana disagrees, like a measure of a tremuta, which is a note, the shortest note, continuously, because according to both Tanoim, there has to be only 3 notes. So there must be a difference between them. Between the Yelol and the Anocha, if it's only 3, whether it's 2, 2, 2, it's 2, 2, 2. And the Bach brings down that the Rivom are a third opinion, that according to the 2 Tanoim, the shiur, the measure of a trua, is 9 notes, 9 strengths, which is as long as the time it takes to blow the 3 blasts of the shvurim. Just that a trua is continuous, and the Machlokes of the Yerushalmi is only how the trua sounds in the Torah. One says it is like a tremaita, which is a waiting sound, which we call a trua, and one says it's rikikim, that means it's a separate block, just like a piece of bread. But the length of the trua, according to both of them, the ultimate time is the same. It's the same machlokes as the Tana of the Mishnah and Tana of the Brisa Bavli. It's 9 blasts. After the Migdal Oiz concludes to clarify the opinion of the Ravid, he goes to clarify the Rambam. He writes, you should know that I broke my head to understand the opinion of the Rambam. I was sick for many days because I always had the halacha in accord with the Ravid. When I saw the Rambam's language, I couldn't find myself at all, not my hands nor my feet, because it was difficult to change the language of the Mishnah, which is not usually the case of the Rambam, who he nearly always quotes the Mishnah verbatim. And furthermore, the Migdal Oiz questions the Rambam. He starts to explain the trua, and he says it depends in 2 tkiyas. We don't know what the tkiya is to begin with. He's telling us that x equals y, but we don't know what y is. And furthermore, he says to the language of break shvurim that's in the Brisa, and he leaves it to being Yevovis, and he doesn't use the language of Yevovis, which you find in the Mishnah. The Rambam writes before in chapter 2:2 by androgynous regarding those who have to obligated to blow that the halacha is like shmur, according to the rule that the halacha is not like a brayso, which the Mishnah disagrees with it. Probably the conclusion of the Gemara is that the Mishnah and the Brisa disagree. So how does he go ahead and codify the halacha like the Brisa? In Sukkah, we say we can't. He says specifically, the Gemara says in Yutes 19b, you don't do the halacha like the Brisa against the Mishnah. He goes on to many other questions on the Rambam. The Migdal always concludes, when I came to Eretz Yisrael, I found that the trua that they blew in Eretz Yisrael, which was handed down from generation to generation, was a note that was longer. It's called in Yerushalmi Tremuti, the Ein Tut Behem, and there was nothing shorter than that. They're a little bit longer than the ta 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 ta. It's ta 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 ta. So then the Migdal continues and says, I asked many great people. They didn't explain to me why this is so until, like money, I sought it out, and like a hidden treasure, I found it, as it says in the Posuk of Mishli, chapter 2:4. And I found the Rebbe Geyes brings the language of Rabbeinu shiur, Rabbeinu Haigoin. That everything they had was accepted practice through the years, and the true is only something that has a tkiya before it and afterwards. How could that be? That the shiur of a tkiya is like a trua, and the shiur of a trua is 3 shvorim. The Migdal is brief in his wording. He brings the words of Shchar Yegoin, of Haigoin, Shchir Yegoin, of Haigoin, that the Chacham predicted was not because of doubt, because there were different minhagim, that others looked like they were disagreeing. Therefore, they said everybody should blow waiting sounds, groaning sounds, are both together. And therefore, that didn't. Once I knew that it went according to what people had as accepted practice, then it didn't bother me what they did in Eretz Yisrael differently. Rae Gann. If somebody made a tkiya and he made a trua, and he then blew a long blast for this after blast of the first set, and he continued it as long as twice as long as the first blast at the beginning of the cycle, right? We don't say we don't say that one long blast, even if it's 30 notes, you don't divide it in half. And then he can right away do a trua, and then he can go ahead and do a tkiya alone. You can't do that. But the second half of the second one is part of the second tkiya that follows the trua. Even he could blow forever. The final one, it's 9 notes or 18 notes or 36 notes. It's only one tkiya, and therefore he has to begin the next set by blowing a long note, tkeya, Maria, and a short note, tkeya 3 times. This din is in the Mishnah. He blew to begin with, and he continued with the second one like 2. He has only the merit of 1. The Mishnah writes this, that the Rambam explained in this Mishnah is clear and correct. The Maggid Mishnah says this is clear and correct, and also the Ramban, the Hashbah also agree. Not like those early commentaries that say that he only has one, meaning that he only has the very first one. Which is he blew so long and he intended it for the second set as well. The after blowing the tekiah afterwards is not reckoned at all. But the Rambam explains it's counted, but it's not counted as two. It can only be counted as one, which is the final blast, which follows the trua, but not like the beginning blast of the next set. Rae Gann explains that those early commentaries who say it's not valid at all agree with abide by the Yerushalmi, who says that even one he doesn't have. That's the text in the Yerushalmi in Rosh Hashanah chapter 4, Halacha 10. And so Rashi in Rosh Hashanah 33b. But the Rambam says that tekiah is considered the final blast after the trua. Rae Gann questions why the Rambam say 3 times. Why do the Rambam have to say he has to blow again 3 times? It should be enough two more times. You finish the first set. The answer is to take away from those who say there's no disagreement. When the Babli says he only has one, the intent is that he has the first tekiah, which is before the trua, but the tekiah that he was lengthy in is not considered a tekiah after the first trua. Yerushalmi that says even one that he doesn't have means that he doesn't have that tekiah at all that he's holding with, but rather Rambam says no, it's part of the 3. So going to Rabbi Manoach, why it says 3 times is because the Rambam actually concludes that the Yerushalmi and the Babli do not disagree. When the Babli says he only has one, it doesn't mean one set. He means one tekiah ready for the next set. Therefore, he has to do 3 more sets. And the Yerushalmi, when it says he doesn't even have one, is referring to the first set, which he does not have, and you have to do 3 more sets, and therefore they're not disagreeing. According to these early commentaries, it says he has to blow means he has to blow again the last blast of the first order, because the long one is not considered at all, and then he has to go again and blow and blow and blow. Now, from the fact that the long one is not considered at all, because you heard at the end of the first set, he never finished it for the first set. In his mind, the beginning was for the first set, the end is for the second set. So you have sort of a tekiah without an end. We hear halacha. Somebody who hears the beginning of the tekiah without the end, or the end of the tekiah without the beginning. If somebody should walk into shul when they already started to blow, and he only heard the tekiah from the middle of the blowing, right? Even if he heard 9 notes, he wasn't yotzeh. This is Rashi. The tekiah that you extend like 2 is not considered anything, because the first part is not counted and the second part is not counted, because he didn't intend it for. So you see, the intent is necessary in the blowing that it should be one complete tekiah. And the clarification is this, because according to the commentaries, that the first tekiah is reckoned for the first section, and he has completed the first section. So the Tana had to tell us that it does have it, because I would say that it doesn't have anything at all. So he tells us no, he does have it, but since he lengthened the second one, right, it's considered a hefsek. It's a sound which is not necessary there. Since it's not a tekiah that you can fulfill your obligation with, it's just a sound, and it separates it. It can't be for the first group, it can't be for the second group. Therefore, you have to blow from the beginning of this, and that means you'll have to go 3 more times. Therefore, you learned it's not a separation, because that's what we learned in Rosh Hashanah. If he hears a sound which is not valid between a tekiah to a trua, or between a trua to a tekiah, between the wailing and the long, it's considered a separation. You have to begin all over. That means where the tekiah itself is invalid, or the trua afterwards is discussing where the tekiah was okay, and the trua, the wailing sound was okay, and he has to complete only the last one. And that's what he means, that this does not invalidate the sound. When it says that if you hear a koil posel, like this would be considered a koil posel, it's not, he has to repeat it, means just repeat that again. However, from the Gemara, it would seem like the Rambam, that according to those commentaries, it should say he doesn't have anything at all because it's a separation. Since it says he only has one, it means that his intent was to make two, and therefore he remains with one, even though the ending was meant for the second part. That would seem to be logical in the words of the Maggid Mishnah, who explains clarifies Rambam very clearly, and so the Ramban and the Rashba agree. The Machon Nesher HaGodol in Siman 490 first brings the opinion of the Rambam and the Ramban and the Rashba that if the last blowing of the Tekiah of the first set is like two blasts, he doesn't have anything except one blast. And Mishnah Berurah explains that means he has the last one of the first set, because every Tekiah has to have a beginning and an end. And if it's divided to two Tekiyahs, as he thought so, you don't have a beginning, you don't have an end. You don't have a beginning to the last one and not an end to the first one. And therefore, we don't go after his thought, but rather we consider this blowing as one long blowing, and it's counted as the last Tekiyah of that first set. From the other position, there are those who say that even one that he doesn't fulfill, like the Rishonim of the Yerushalmi, and the Mishnah Berurah says the Rishonim are of the opinion that you go after his thought, and he divided them, therefore he has nothing. Because to the last Tekiah, there's a beginning without an end. And it's accounted as for the second set, it is an end without a beginning. So we see the disagreement is whether you go after the thoughts of the blower or not. The later commentaries wrote that according to this thought, he lost the entire first set because there's a strange sound here, which is not supposed to be there, and therefore he has to start again. Not like Rabbi Meir who says that the main novelness is, according to his opinion, is that he has the first one of the second set. We can conclude the order with a new Tekiah alone, because meaning that he has the beginning of that first set, one Tekiah, but he doesn't have the last one. And even though the last one was blown, it's not valid. It's not an invalid sound. Mishnah Berurah concludes that the Halacha is like the first Svara, the long Tekiah would be considered like the ending blowing of the first set, and he would have one set in his hand, and he only has to do it twice to conclude the nine sounds that he has to hear.